Hello, welcome to section 2. In this section, we're going to start with learning variables. Let's go ahead and create a new project, Java project. We're going to name it section 2, hit finish, and expand the arrow, find source, and then let's create a new class. Name of the class would be variables, and the package would be com.java.tut.section2. There is a shortcut here to create the main method that we would otherwise have to type into the Java class. If you check this box here, when Eclipse creates the class for you and opens it, it will also create the main method for you. So you don't have to type that over and over every time you create a class. If you hit finish, so the Java class is created and the main method is in the Java class. Let's delete this one. We're going to learn about this in a later video. So right now we have a Java class and the main method in it. So what are variables? Variables are basically containers, right? Like buckets to hold something in them. That something is any value that you want to specify. It could be a number, it could be a series of characters, it could be anything, right? You assign that into a variable so you can use that variable everywhere in our program. Let's go ahead and start typing int, and then let's call it number equals 100. So what we are saying is we are creating a number variable of type integer, and the value of that is going to be 100, right? Now we can use this variable anywhere in our program to do different things. Since we know how to display or print something in the console, we're going to type system.out.println. We're going to open double quotes and say number is. So far we had printed only text. Now there is a way to include variables in the text that needs to be printed. To do that, after the double quote, enter a plus sign, and then you can enter any variable that needs to be printed. So when Java encounters this statement, what it will do is it will know that number is should be printed, and it will look for the value of number variable and print that. Let's go ahead and right click and do a run as Java application to see what happens. As you can see, it printed number is 100. Now if you change the value, let's say to 500, save it and run it, it's going to print number is 500. So that's basically use of a variable. You can assign value into a variable and you can use that variable anywhere in your program. There are a few things to remember. The variable should always be initialized. When I say initialized, it should have an initial value assigned to them. If you don't do that, Java will throw an error. Let's remove this initialization and just declare number and try to print it. As you can see, we have an error. It says the local number variable number may not have been initialized. So that's one thing. So let's put that back in. So the error is gone. The next thing to remember is the variable name cannot be a reserved keyword. What are reserved keywords? So Java has a bunch of keywords that are reserved for specific purposes. When Java encounters them, it is going to think that's for whatever purpose they were defined for, right? Whatever you see in Eclipse in this highlighted red are basically keywords, right? When you say public class, it means something to Java that you are defining a class. When you say public static void main, it knows that you are defining a main method. So if you start using these reserved keywords as variables, then it's going to be confusing. So Java would throw an error and prevent you from doing it. Let's try that. We're going to name this variable public. But public is a keyword, so Java is saying invalid variable declarator ID. So we also have another error here because we changed number variable to public, so Java does not recognize what number is any longer. So that's another thing to remember. Before you use any variable, you need to declare it, give it a type, and give it an initial value. So let's change this back to number. So That's basically what variable is. And the variable's value can be changed. So now you can say number equals 1000. Here we're changing the number variable to hold 1000, right? You don't need an int any longer because we have already declared number is always going to be an integer, and we can just change the values whenever we want. Now if you do a system.out.println here and say number is now number and end with a semicolon, save it and run it, it printed number is 500, and then the number changes to 1000, number is now 1000. So a variable can hold a value, a variable's value can be changed anywhere in the program, and it can be used in several places like printing or calculations and so on. There are different types of variables that we're going to see in a later video, but for this video, number was an integer and we were able to assign different values and print them. So play with this, try changing the values. It can take negative values also. So you can do that and try to run it and see what you get. And once you're comfortable, let's move on to the next video. Thank you so much.